Welcome to JIGGA Private Game Reserve, more specifically to Inga's garden. And look at that, it is the most exquisite little scops owl. Now this looks to be the little male. There are two of them. We can't see the other clearly from where we're sitting. But I know Jamie has told you about them, and I thought, why not start in the garden with an owl? And I'm sure this is a bird that is on many of our birders lists. So hopefully this is number 199 or 201 or even 62 for many of our birders out there. Of course, we are live in the middle of the African bush, and today is quite a special day because, of course, you know my name is Brent. But quite often, there's a really, really important person who comes on drive with me, and sometimes together we're known as the Killer Bees. So Brian Joubert is back, and of course, so is the thumb. What is the thumb today?
A floral thumb.
It's a floral thumb. Oh, look at that. It's so pretty. So Brian is, of course, wearing floral pants, floral shirt, floral everything. No, I'm only kidding. But great to have Brian back, and I've got another surprise for you, which we're going to go find right now. Bye, Scops! We have one last little look at that gorgeous creature. Now, for those of you who listen to the JIGGA dam cam at night, you'll hear that very distinct burp, burp. And that is the call of the Scops owlet. Okay, out of the garden now. Although, when we got home last night, believe it or not, there was an elephant in the garden. They do that sometimes when we leave the gate open. And we just let him eat peacefully and then waited for him to move on. Now, over the last while, Queen Karula has not been very, very forthcoming. Now, of course, if you're wondering who Queen Karula is, send me a question to questions@wildearth.tv or hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. And there's Herbie. And look at that, he's wearing leopard print, a man after my own heart. And with Herbie as Tish. So there we go. Now, I wonder if Herbie's wearing leopard print because Herbie found a leopard. Yes, he did. Herbie found a leopard. So Herbie's going to show me where it is, and it was, of course, the Queen of JIGGA, Karula. And Herbie was out fixing roads, and he happened to see Queen Karula actually make the kill. And this was at about 1:30. So a lot of people wonder, oh, when do leopards hunt? So normally they prefer dusk, dawn, and into the evening, but they are opportunists. So he said he spotted her sleeping in a tree. She ran down the tree and whacked a duiker. So let's go have a look. So Herbie's leopard print vest. Now, Herbie's not the only person at WildEarth who owns a leopard print vest. Brian, who's the other person who has a leopard print vest?
You are.
Yes, I am. So there we go. I do quite enjoy my leopard print vest. We should probably get Connor into it one of these days. But what a way to start Scops Owl off to Karula. And the Nkuhumas are just up the road. So lots of really exciting potential. Hi, Joanne B. And she would just like me to clarify the spelling of that wonderful little owl. It is a Scops owl, so S-C-O-P-S. Oh, now I can see where Herbie's going, but before we go there, keep the birders and the big catters happy. And just quickly, there's an African hawk eagle in the tree. Now, of course, Karula might have left, which is not a bad thing. There we go. Hello, African hawk eagle. I heard the guinea fowl alarming earlier. I'm quite sure it was at them. There's actually a pair, we can't see the other, but hopefully they'll come flying over us while we're sitting with Karula. So if Karula's not here, it means she's departed to go collect the delectable Hosana and Xongile. Copy, Herbie, I'm coming. I just saw African hawk eagle quickly. There we go. It looks like only the kill is here. She's gone to fetch the cubs. So what we're going to do is go have a quick look at the kill, and then we're going to jimmy down towards a tree house, Gowrie Main, which she crossed yesterday, and hopefully we can find her on her way back with the delectable Xongile and Hosana. I'll go check there now, just to see if we catch her on the way. Otherwise we'll tell her when she comes back. Thanks, Herb. Enjoy. So let's have a look. I'm not sure whether she's hoisted yet. Herbie, when I spoke to him last, said she hadn't. Now, are we being blind? Right? Can you see a retired duiker? Not yet, neither can I. I can see it now. So she hasn't hoisted it, probably because at this time of the day there's very little chance of hyenas or anything taking it. It's not a very big duiker. Oh, there we go. I hear some go-away birds alarming, and in the direction where Karula would have gone to fetch the cubs, so let's go look there quickly. But yay, what an exciting start. Oh, well, there we go. As I was really hoping that... Oh, that's also what the... Oh, they're going to disappear. Don't disappear, eagles. That's what those go-away birds were alarming at. It was the African hawk eagles, not Queen Karula. But alas, we'll go look for her anyway. So Liz, as I was saying, Liz says she's heard that scops owl so many nights, but first time seeing it, number 115. Now, Liz, aren't you happy like me that the sun is out? I've been wanting to bird because I've been carrying a few migratory species, but it's been cold and it's been windy and the light's been terrible, so it's been really difficult to bird. But now look at this. Who knows? Maybe we'll catch the first cuckoo of the season, and or even the first bee eater. I still haven't heard a woodlands kingfisher, but I think they are going to come in later this year. But I think any day now we might be hearing the wonderful chit-chirr of a woodlands kingfisher. Okay, let's have a look. Now, where she crossed was a little bit further to the west, so let's go, I think, have a look at Shibam Road and then move our way south from there. Oh, it looks like we've got some nice antelopes up ahead. Ooh. Some water buck and impala. Well, so far you've only got to see me, and Dina's starting to ponder. Is anyone else joining us? Yes, Jamie and Wiem will be out hopefully quite shortly, but a miracle has occurred. JIGGA has returned from the dead. So they're just doing some last finishing touches, and JIGGA will be out on drive for the first time. Wow, in a long time, many a moon. Here we go. Impala and waterbuck. Now you'll notice quite a diverse mix of male and female impala. I'm just going to move forward so you can see the waterbuck as well. Now, of course, during the rut, there's a lot more segregation between the impala. But when all the ladies are pregnant and there's no competition for mating, the impala males become far less territorial. There you go, there's a little fluffy waterbuck at the back there. Quite a big fluffy waterbuck, actually. Oh! What was that for? You saw that wonderful white ring on their bottom? It's a follow me target for other waterbuck to spot them in the thick bush. One of the reasons we're stopping and listening here is in case we hear an alarm call for the Queen who's gone to fetch the Prince and Princess. Okay, we're going to move along and check Shabaum Road. Now, Shabaum. I wonder what that means. Shabaum. I wonder if anyone out there knows what Shabaum means. Now, think about it. A lot of African languages, when new things have been introduced, you've got a lot of sort of sounds like, but I'll carry on with that in a second. Afternoon F, I think Nkuhuma is still the same place. Herbie found Karula with Munti Bamba, but she's shed to go fetch the Mantuan. I'm busy following up on her at the moment. And I think there's some in Rovo, Twin Dam somewhere. Okay, so this is one of Karula's favorite thoroughfares. Now, as I was saying, so a lot of sort of things that wouldn't have traditionally been in the language. Standing by, Jamie. Oh, sounds like Jamie's out. Negative F, standing by, Jamie. Okay, so we're looking at, but anyway, well, it's just right. We did Philemon's dip. Karula's not there, she's going to fetch the cubs, and if you're interested in those lawns, there's a quarry branch on vertical access as you between Aubrey's and Gallagher shortcut. This is where she came in. Okay, now, as I was saying, there's a lot of sounds like in sort of things that were introduced that weren't there. So a motorbike, for example, is this is toot toot, because it goes this is toot 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 toot. A tractor is a ganda 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 ganda. And so remember now, I asked you what Shabaum means. Shabaum. Now, if you know what Shabaum means, send your answers through to questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. But now, without further ado, let's send you, for the first time in many a moon, back on board the JIGGA with Jamie and Viam.
JIGGA's back! JIGGA has been resurrected and she's back on the road once more. And a very good afternoon to you all. My name is Jamie. This afternoon I have Viam, the man who is at least in part responsible for JIGGA's resurrection, on camera with me. And without further ado, let us take JIGGA, one of the original stalwarts of the WildEarth team, back on the road again. I have to tell you, there is a certain frisson of pleasure when you get into JIGGA. It's the first vehicle that I ever got to drive when I started at WildEarth. That was largely due because when I came on my interview drive, Wendy caught on fire before I did my interview. It was an entertaining evening. I got off the back of the vehicle. I'd been out to see how everything was going, and I smelled smoke and there were flames coming out of the back of poor Wendy. And from that moment on, JIGGA and the rest of the crew were positively inseparable. Oh, an exciting start to the Sunset Safari. I'm sure Brent's filled you all in as to the goings on and what's been happening. So I think Viam and myself are going to trundle along go and see the lions for a little bit, and then probably move off, give Jigga a real test run. Perhaps take her into the darker areas of Djuma. Perhaps Nyala Road North, or maybe even the Mulwati drainage. Hello, Kudu. I'm starting off our afternoon with one of Djuma, oh, actually, one of the Lowveld's most beautiful antelope. A herd of female kudu enjoying their afternoon lunch. Long and graceful, they kind of, whenever I think of the different roles that antelope would fill, I always think that kudu perhaps would be the catwalk models of the bush. Yes, definitely. I think it's the long skinny legs. Not so sure about the big ears, but they're definitely the catwalk models. Now I'm trying to think of roles for the other antelope. Wildebeest are supposed to be the clowns of the bush. Think of other ones. Impala, I think, are... Is it unfair to just call them the sort of the average Joe? Since there are so many of them. They're still pretty in their own way. I think we'll have to think about it as we go along and give some stereotypical characters to each of the antelope we see. I'm surprised to see them so out in the open and feeling quite so comfortable. Perhaps it's the heat of this afternoon that's giving them that sense of confidence that there's no predators walking about. Although that, of course, would be a mistake, as we know, since I'm sure Brent has already filled you in on the activities of our Queen Karula. It's amazing how, especially female leopards, how they're always wandering about in the middle of the day. If you are joining us for the first time, oh my goodness, there's more kudu. There's kudu everywhere. We'll pull over and have a look at this beautiful girl. Hello. If you are joining us for the first time, if this is your first live safari experience, please do send through your questions. You can do that on #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@wildearth.tv. Perhaps you'd like to know a little bit more about the kudu, why they have stripes, for example. Well, I suppose I better answer that question now I've asked it. It's to help break up their outline to the eyes of predators as they disappear behind the bushes, just like this lovely lady has done herself. They must have come through in quite close proximity to those lions, actually. They were just somewhere over here. I think we're definitely going to go and investigate what those lions are up to. And then, as I said, we'll take a journey around and test JIGGA out, but we will be coming back to the lions because apparently the Nkuhumas have not eaten last night, so they're going to be quite hungry. Now, Emma, before we move on from our lovely antelope, you want to know how many different types there are on this reserve. We're going to do the standard thing, which is sit and count while we look at the beautiful kudu. So, of the spiral-horned antelope tribe, we have bushbuck, nyala, kudu, and maybe eland, but I'm not going to count that just yet. Then we have the wildebeest, and then we have the waterbuck, and then we have impala, steenbok, duiker, reedbok, sable. Are we going to count sable? We'll count sable, so that's 10. And I'm sure I've missed out something really obvious. Done waterbuck, done wildebeest. It's always a fun game to play. And look, there's some warthogs as well to look at while I try and remember how to count and how many different types of antelope. So I've counted 10. Those are the ones that you're most likely to see. Actually 9, because I did include sable and we hardly ever get to see them. A warthog, of course, as we watch them snuffle away, is not included in our antelope, or as an antelope species. It is something completely different, belonging, as you may have guessed from their appearance, to the pig family. The kudu, not content with us paying too much attention to the warthog, decided she'd like to come wandering through and photobomb them. Megan, let's put a hold on your question for 1 second. I'll explain a little bit better. There we go. Okay, so 9 antelope species that we see commonly, and I don't think I've forgotten. Oh, cute little one. He's a little baby kudu. I don't think I've forgotten any of the major ones. But then there's also, look at it go, catching up with the rest of the herd. Oh, that's so graceful. kudu, of course, can jump 6 meters. No, that's a lie. To over 2 meters, which is over 6 feet from a standing start. Incredible jumpers, and this little female's just given us a beautiful indication of their agility. It was so effortless. Right, poor Megan. Let me try and answer your question properly. As the last, there just seems to be kudu everywhere. They're coming out of it, every corner. So there's a couple of different antelope that are found within the entire Kruger National Park area, but bear in mind that the wilderness area that we're sitting on is bigger than some small countries, which means there's a whole load of different habitats, and there's different places where different antelope are found, and some are less common than others. So we could, in theory, see eland. There's no fences between us and where the eland are, and sable. One of them was on Djuma not too long ago. Roan, which is very rare. It's a very rare antelope to see out here. And Tsetsabi. I'm trying to think, there might be a hartebeest, a couple of red hartebeest wandering around as well, although that would be quite unusual. So there's an extra 5 or so that we would be, and Sharp's Grijsbok, which is a tiny little antelope similar to a steenbok, which we could, in theory, see, but we haven't yet. The steenbok Djuma Dam camera, and I think we'd all be incredibly excited to have a chance to see that. In fact, if I remember correctly, we got so overexcited about the prospect of seeing the sable the next morning that had been seen on the dam camera that I'm relatively certain Scott Dyson called for a crash cut for an Inyala, unless I'm very much mistaken. I think it was Scotty. He just saw a flash of dark fur and immediately caused for a quick link. And then he was very embarrassed because it was an Inyala. Not that they aren't beautiful, but it's not quite as exciting for us as it would be to see a sable antelope. Sable, big, dark-coloured antelope. Absolutely beautiful. Right, I'm going to try and figure out where these lions are. I'm relatively certain I know, though. In the meantime, let's head across to Brent, find out what he's up to and if the Queen has returned.
We've just done a quick gander around the southern boundary, seeing if we could spot Karula. Now, the nice thing is, unlike the normal eyes to the ground, where's this leopard? Where? We know where she's going. So we'll definitely head back there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to meander. If we bump her now, great. If we don't, we'll catch her just now. And in the meantime, I heard some elephants around Twin Dams. Hopefully we can find them cavorting in the mud. I've been wanting to see elephants cavorting in the mud since I've been back from leave, and I keep finding them 5 minutes after they finish cavorting. So hopefully we'll find some cavorting elephants and then meander our way to the Queen of Djuma for a lovely evening. Now, Jamie and I were having a discussion before we went out. If possible, we both want to be near the Nkuhumas when it starts getting dark, because they are hungry and they might hunt. So, exciting prospects ahead. Now, we were talking about sounds-like names before we went to say hello to Jamie, and we did the tractor, the ganda, and we did the motorbike, is toot, and I'm still waiting to hear if anyone can work out what chipao means, but there are some other wonderful little sort of names in a lot of different African languages. A car in Shangaan, for example, is a mov. So here we go, the sound of the engine revving. But it sounds like Jamie's got an awesome bird. Let's go have a look.
We've got here. Here's a bird species that we hardly ever get to see at night, let alone during the day. And it just so happens that the off-road track runs right next to the sleeping spot of 2 bronze-winged coursers. So there you go. You had the Skopsal with Brent earlier, quite an unusual little bird. Look at this amazing thing. Look at its massive eye. You can clearly see that this is a bird that wanders about at night. Look at it! Tilting its head to the side. Its eye is almost half the size of its head. And I'm almost certain when we look at it this way, its eye is probably bigger than its brain. But That is definitely an exciting bird to add to your list. They like this sort of quite dense woodland, and often we only hear them. And funnily enough, I actually have the call to play to you, which I will do for you in a moment. And often we only hear them. They sound almost like a frog, if you can believe it. Look at that. So we get the Temminck's courses on Cheetah Plains, which you may have seen quite a few times in the open areas. Our bronze-winged courses, as I said, prefer a slightly different habitat. And this is a species of bird that I have only really seen around here at night. Tiny little thing, in case you're wondering about the size. It's about the size of or smaller than a blacksmith lapwing. Around just under 30 centimeters or so. Now, typically with these little birds, if they were to get a proper fright, instead of flying away like the lapwings would do, they actually prefer to run and to dash off. There's the second one, off to the left of us. I wonder, I said that this is their sleeping spot. Could it be that they have a nest in this area? That would definitely be something exciting. Imagine little baby bronze-winged coursers. And the name bronze-winged is a funny one, because they don't really have any serious bronze on their wings. Maybe just a little bit underneath, in a little patch. But you won't be able to see that from where we are. When I first heard the name bronze-winged coursers, I always imagined that they would have this incredible shimmering boundary to their wings, which of course they don't. But nevertheless, try and hold my book. No, stay. Book open. There we go, our little courser. The bronze-winged courser. So it's the only one that we get out here apart from the Temminck's courser. You can see the massive eye and that clearly boldly patterned head. Oh, as the book says, actually, funnily enough. I didn't read that there. And there's long yellow or long reddish legs. And then that I think is the bronze wing that gives it its name. But to be honest, I don't really see it as being bronze-winged, but it is one of my favorite names of any bird. This up here is the Temminck's courser that you see on Cheetah Plains. Little bit smaller, and its eye doesn't look quite so enormous. And these are basically, as far as I can think of, these are the only courser species that we get out here. Apparently, the bronze-winged courser, if I look at my bird book here on the other page, the bronze-winged courser used to be called the violet-tipped courser. Now, there you go. Beautiful little bird. I can see. I'm trying to work out, you know what I should have done when I recorded this was probably labeled it. I wonder if this is it. Try and hear it. I can't hear anything. Sorry, I was going to try and play it for you, but I'm not entirely sure that's the right one. And our coursers have, while I've been talking to you, our coursers have moved off. But that's just a pure stroke of luck, the fact that this 2-track that runs to these lions just happened. Oh, here's another little bird for you. Ah, they never sit still. You see where it went, Wildy? Somewhere in there. It was a little chin spot battis. But trying to get them on camera is a mission. Let's try one more time around the side and try for one last look at our bronze-winged coursers. I think it's only the second time I've seen them here. I'm really excited. Now, Emma, you wanted to know whether or not they're predator or prey birds, and they're sort of a little bit of both. They're a mixed feeder as far as I know, so most of their diet will be things like grass seeds and other things that they can find on the ground. But like our lapwing species, if they do, I still see it. Can you see it there, Viam? You got it. Sorry, Emma. There you go. Well done, Viam. A little chin spot battis. to add to your collection of really special birds that you've got to see this afternoon. Whoop, gone. One of the few bird species where the female is slightly more colourful than the male, with the little chin spot, the little brown chin spot that she has underneath her chin. Right, well, since our batis has flown away and our coursers have vanished, Emma, they will eat little insects as well. So if they find something like a small grasshopper or something similar, they will grab it and eat it. But for the most part, they are not really predatory birds. It's not a raptor, and you can tell that it's not a raptor species just in terms of the shape of the bill. I'm going to be checking for them on my way out as well. Now, raptors generally have a slightly stronger, more curved bill, very, very strong looking. You can usually gauge exactly what a bird eats, not exactly, but close to what a bird eats, or what its diet consists of, just by looking at the beak. So that little batis, for example, something tiny like that, little berries and fruit, little grass seeds, possibly even bits of plants, but in general, not something that catches insects. It doesn't have that really powerful beak. It's following us. Or if it does catch insects, it'll be something small. Ah, it's gone. Right, do you think we took the wrong fork, or do we take the right fork? There we go, to Lisa. Quite a thorny tree there. Apparently, Lisa, it makes your, what number was that, Rebecca? I got distracted by the near attack. 112 species. Well, that seems wonderful to hear, Lisa. So for our new viewers, I'm sure Brent touched upon this with his scop owls and chatting about bird lists, but we do encourage all of our viewers to keep a bird list. It's a fantastic way of looking back on some of the incredible little things that we have a chance to see, because it's not all about the leopards and the lions and the elephants, although they are equally wonderful, but it is really nice to stop, and it's almost, you can think of bird hunting as a treasure hunt, and that's the way that a lot of bird watchers describe it, collecting all the different species and getting a chance to see all the different species. Right, it's getting a bit tricky in here. Let's head across to Brent while I concentrate on getting to these lions.
Now, one wonderful thing about the bush is that it's constantly in change. Now, I was just chatting to Brian, so it would have been February last year. Wow. This tree used to be standing, and it is an acacia tree, a scented thorn, Shangwa in Shanghai, and now it was pushed over probably about a year and a half ago, and you can see how it's completely changed. Now, if we look quite carefully, Brian, have you spotted what I've spotted in it? Let's go out a bit. There we go, center frame. Look at that. Now, if you're a bird, isn't that a nice impenetrable thicket to keep your babies in? And that is that blue waxbill nest. There's actually two of them there next to each other, right in that little thicket. Absolutely incredible. Now, what's going to be amazing now, after we get some rain, and that we're going to see probably a lot more grass than you've ever seen at Juma, and that's due to the fact the elephants have cleared so much more of the bush, and that should hopefully increase our grazer species, so increase the amount of zebra we have. Ooh! And you saw a brown-veined white butterfly flutter through, so it's going to increase our grazer species hopefully, and also the fact that there's been a lot of turning over of trees. They're sort of tilling the soil. Now we just need some nice big buffalo herds to come hoof action through here, and that'll really make a magnificent difference. Debbie is saying, well, we haven't seen a buffalo herd for a while. Are they still lurking around Juma? Well, there's quite a good reason we haven't seen a buffalo herd for a while. It's because we've seen an Nkuhuma every day. They've really kept the buffalo out of this area, and even when they come in, they get chased out. Here is another tall creature. Let's go forward a little bit. Here we go. It's a giraffe. A male giraffe. The leopard camel, who walks swiftly. Now, I love scientific names, and sometimes when you break up the scientific name into English, it can be quite amusing. So, for example, the southern giraffe is Giraffa Camelopardalis. There we go. So, swiftly walking camel leopard. And there we go. And you can see how swiftly the camel leopard walks. Oh, he tripped up there. I'll just... Now, of course, that new research that came out recently split giraffe into 4 separate species. They always thought it was one species with subspecies, but 4 genetically distinct species. So, and we, of course, have the southern giraffe. And you can see it, he's got a ball of food in his mouth there, and the ruminants eat quite differently to the other animals. And you can see there his bottom jaw moves from side to side, and ours will move up and down, and so will the predators. Hello to a new viewer. Welcome to Safari Live. Tanks in Space is wondering why a giraffe have those antennae. Well, it's of course so he can hear me better. No, I'm only playing. Those are called ossicones, and there is horns. So he uses them for fighting. And you can also see on his forehead there's quite a lot of bulbous build-up there, and that's especially as he turns sideways. So giraffe will use those horns to hit other giraffe when they're fighting over mates. And of course there's a red-billed oxpecker between, or next, just to the right of his left ossicone, now feeding off any ectoparasites such as ticks or fleas. But yes, so the giraffe's horns are there for fighting against other giraffe, and with that long neck they're able to swing it like a, basically, what would you call it, like a mace, a large mace, and they swing and hit each other. And when they are fighting seriously, you can hear those thuds from over 1 kilometer away. Emma, who's also quite new at Safari Live, is wondering about the little red-billed oxpecker and what's his purpose. Out in the bush, there are all sorts of creatures, some not so nice ones like ticks and fleas and mites, and that oxpecker is feeding off any of the parasites that are sucking into the giraffe's blood. So they do help quite a few of the animals by feeding off any of the parasites on them. Now, giraffe have been known for many, many years and feature very heavily in both European and Chinese and African history and folklore. And I'll go into that, just need to be on the radio. Just stand by, Mike, I'll contact you in about 5. There we go, the oxpeckers come out to the front. Now, the giraffe even had its own hieroglyph in ancient Egypt, and probably the longest traveling giraffe in the ancient era began a long trip from Kenya in the year 1414. and it was then taken to the Ming Dynasty Zoo. And so the Chinese had the first giraffe in China, or in 1414. And after that, all sorts of, during the sort of, from the 1400s onwards, there was a great fascination in wildlife from all over the world. And the Medici giraffe caused a great stir in Florence, as he bought it from Egypt in 1486, sorry. Dates on me were not good. And he kept it in Florence for about 20 years. And one of the more recent 19th century traveling giraffes was from Egypt, and it was given by Muhammad Ali of Egypt to Charles X of France, and it caused such a sensation in France that there was a new word and lots of memorabilia created around it, or as it was known in that time in France, giraffalia. Okay, well, we're going to leave this giraffe to munching on his magic guarri, and it seems like Jamie has caught up with the non-spotted cat of Chuma.
I like how Brent describes it as caught up with the Nkuhumas, like it was a flat-out race to get here. The Nkuhumas are definitely not moving anywhere anytime soon. They have found themselves a perfect spot of shade in some really dense vegetation, but we've managed to squeeze ourselves into the one little gap, and isn't it just totally worth it? One little cub that's up and about, and some very empty-bellied lionesses. They're perfectly relaxed for now. That was Amber Eyes in the middle, just by the way. Oh no, it's not, sorry. That's not Amber Eyes. I'm sure I saw Amber Eyes a moment ago, but now I'm confused. There's the third lioness at the back. There is a fourth, but I can't even remember where she is. I think she's round the back somewhere in this dense vegetation. Presumably, oh, there she is. Well done. Well done, VM. Here's the fourth lioness. I'm not sure if there were 5 this morning or 4, and I'm sure all 8... There we go. We have the answer. All 5 lionesses are here. How wonderful. Good to see that the mating female is back once again with the rest of the pride. Now don't go in there, girl. If she does, it's going to be next to impossible for us to follow them if the rest of the pride follows her into that drainage line. I assume, though, that the rest of the cubs are somewhere there. I've only counted 3, I think, from what I can see. This little one is woken up to have a jolly good groom and a little bit of a scratch. And then... oh no, there's 4. There's one up. Hello. You're looking for a little meal quickly. I think we might have arrived at the best possible time, you know. I think there's a chance they're all going to move because the sun's moved. Oh, weaning's still happening. Yesterday on the sunset safari, we were watching them as they moved from lioness to lioness, begging for a chance to suckle, and the lionesses just weren't having any of it. Oh, there goes number 2. As I said, I think we arrived at a very, very good time, because these lions are about to disappear. And the sun's obviously shifted. There's not as much shade here as there was earlier, and they're probably going to move into some really dense vegetation around that drainage line. I'm pretty certain the last lions I saw in this particular spot was the Shimungwes. This is almost exactly where VM and myself lost the Shimungwes a couple of months ago. A pride of lions that we have not seen since, to my recollection. And having not been quite as lucky, at least this time around, or fortunate as the Nkuhumas have been. Now, Bethany was with 3 different age sets of cubs. How on earth does... bless you. How on earth does one go about weaning them? or how will the lionesses go about weaning them? Will they let the older cubs suckle for longer, or will they wean the little ones in a shorter period of time? Well, the answer is the oldest cubs will have a longer period of suckling than the youngest cubs. So it's not so much that they try and time it or anything like that, it's just that the lionesses have a set time that they lactate, and after that they stop. So the mother of the oldest cubs will stop lactating first, which makes total sense, and this, of course, bear in mind, is a general rule. It can differ depending on the age of the lioness, but generally the mom of the oldest set of cubs, like this little one, and this is one of the oldest or the middle ones, whereas the mother of the youngest set of cubs will continue to lactate up until that point, but obviously she will lactate for longer because she gave birth to her cubs later. And what will happen is that the oldest set of cubs, because lionesses allosuckle, will continue to feed from the mother of the youngest set of cubs up until the point that she too stops lactating, at which point it will be time for them to be fully weaned. And I think that we have got to that point, or we're getting close to that point, where at least one of the lionesses has stopped lactating. And I've noticed that the lion cubs seem to be targeting one female in particular. I think it might be this one that this little cub is trying to suckle off. And for the most part, any approach to any of the lionesses is being met with a couple of growls and snarls and just a general unpleasant response from mom. Although for now, this little one, I'm not actually sure this little one has struck it lucky. I think the milk bar is slowly running dry, unfortunately. Sorry, baby. Everyone has to go through it. All the mammals have to go through it. What's been fascinating to watch, whacked in the face with a tail, what's been fascinating to watch is the tantrums that these lion cubs have when they don't get their way. We have often spoken about the weaning tantrum of elephants, baby elephants, and how cross they get and how they scream when their mothers deny them access to milk. We've seen it with the hyenas before. We've heard them niggling and squealing and generally making a fuss, but it's been interesting to watch the lion cubs as well. Sort of... They're very noisy little animals. Oh, look at this. I think this little one struck lucky. No, not really. Not properly settled down. It's trying. But as I said, I think the milk supply is starting to run low. Luckily for these little cubs, although the weaning process is somewhat traumatic for them, I can't understand why their mothers won't feed them. Luckily for them, the Nkuhumas are a force to be reckoned with in terms of hunting lionesses, and as a result, bellies will remain full. Might not be full of milk as they want it to be, but it'll be full of buffalo or antelope or something along those lines. Our UFO, while we watch our lionesses sort of building up their energy or saving up their energy for tonight's hunt, you want to know, for these little cubs, how long it will be until they start to grow their manes, or at least the males, of course. And we have 3 males of the 8 cubs here, and the answer is you're going to actually start to see, in fact, if you look really, really closely, I think we've got 2 females here, but if you look really closely at some of the older males, you'll start to see slight fluffiness around the top of the head and around the neck. So already they're showing signs. By 6 months of age to 8 months, it'll be a little bit clearer. But the growing of a lion's mane is a continuous process. So by about 1.5 years old, they've got these ridiculous scraggly beard mohawk combinations that look a little bit like, I don't know, like teenage boys trying to grow a beard, but they haven't quite got the hang of it just yet. And then by the time they're 2, they've still got that mohawk. It actually takes them years and years to develop the full mane of a male lion in his prime. Even the Birmingham boys haven't got there yet. Blondie's on his way. It is starting to stretch down his chest and into his armpits and cover all of the top of his head, and certainly they've made considerable progress. But these little lions have a long way to go before it's time for them to reach that point. Kind of reminds me of the little lion cub in The Lion King with his mane that he was so proud of. These guys still have a little way to go. You can see this cub's still struggling on. Probably is suckling a little bit, but I don't think there's terribly much there. Oh, somebody's practicing. Oh no, there's two cubs fighting there. I was trying to work out how that was physically possible, that was a lion leg, or the leg belonging to the same lion. It's not. Oh, at least they're equipped with the teeth they need now to start devouring things like buffalo. Oh, we're gonna have tears. Mom obligingly lifting up her leg. Okay, so she is still lactating. I think she would have they would have met with a bit more resistance. The two of them clambering in there together. Very, very good question from Holly Wilson. Because of the age difference between all three of these little cubs, of course, they've basically grown up suckling from all three of the mothers. But Holly wants to know, what happens if Amber Eyes has cubs now? Will the older cubs still try to suckle from her? And the answer to that is they can try, but they're not going to be it's not going to be a very popular effort. So yes, they might try. Those instincts, by the time she has cubs, might still be there. Although, bear in mind, by the time, let's say Amber Eyes is pregnant now. If she's pregnant now, she's probably a month pregnant. The gestation is about 3. So you've got another 2 months. Then she's not going to be rejoining the pride for long periods of time, or at least long enough for the cubs to suckle, for at least 6 weeks of her newborn cub's life. Oh, that's cute. You just want to go and tickle it under the chin. Yes, hello. It heard me. So that's basically well over 3 months, at which point the oldest set, or even the youngest set of cubs, will be close to 6 months old. Now that instinct to suckle will still be there, but it will be well on it. They will be well on their way past the weaning process, and their diet will be meat-based. Now they might try 1 or 2 suckles, and they probably will get hit with a serious swat on the head from Amber Eyes. As you know, Amber is not a lioness to be trifled with. However, there is a chance, if Amber Eyes does fall pregnant, that she will allo-suckle the cubs of the youngest female, if the youngest female falls pregnant in time. Think how many Nkuhumas we're going to have bumbling about. We're not going to be able to keep track. Emma, on the subject of the growth of our little cubs, a very warm welcome to you on our sunset safari. In terms of when the male lion cubs will leave the pride, there's no set rule. It's usually around 3 years old, but that can change depending on the things that happen in all the certain circumstances. So that's the age at which they reach sexual maturity. We saw Junior staying with the Nkuhuma pride, for quite a long time after we thought he would disperse, probably because the Matimbas were in this Birmingham boy takeover process, so they were playing the role of the angry fathers, kicking the son out. And the Birmingham boys were a little bit distracted by other things, so he managed to sneak in a couple of extra months. Plus the fact that he didn't have a male cohort to head out into the wilderness with. But with the Birmingham boys, for example, when they dispersed from home, the oldest would have left at around the normal age, but the youngest, because the Birmingham boys have got almost a year between the eldest and the youngest, would have been closer to 2 than 3. So you see what I mean about it being dependent on circumstances. If there is a male coalition takeover, perhaps the young males might decide it is more prudent to escape sooner rather than later. And if there's 5 of them, or however many there may be, then in that case they might decide actually it's worth going a little bit earlier because they've got the advantage of numbers, which would probably be, especially if Amber Eyes has cubs and the young female, will probably be the situation with these cubs, provided all the males survive, which isn't a given. Sorry, I mean chattering away from you. Tax, you can come and take my spot. It's the only place you'll get a visual. Sorry everybody, as you can tell, I'm going to have to shift around. I just spoke to Tax and I said this is the only place that he will get a visual. So I'm just going to bear with me one moment. Oh, Jigga! Jigga just wants to jump out of the stable door. It's like a racehorse. Took my foot off the clutch and she flew forward. Tax, you're blocking me in. Let me go out first. Tax is determined to keep me here whether I want to be or not. I'm going to try for a go around because no matter where else we go we won't get a view of these lions. Let's see how we go. Hi everybody. Afternoon Tax, how are you? Good, thanks. I'm going to try see if I can get a visual from around the side, but I don't think so. Yeah, it's very thick. Most of them have gone into the Shkova, but you can still see some mumpy pins there. Okay, enjoy. Let's try and get out of Tax's way. Just making space for him and his guests, and in fact we probably will at some point have to leave the sighting. But that's okay, as I said, Jigga needs some testing. Oh, and we'll come back as it starts to get a little dark and a little cooler. Perhaps have a chance to follow them as they go hunting. This might not have been such a bad idea, you know. This kind of work out well in our favour. Got so used to driving Wendy and Rusty, this is a whole different ball game. Okay. Sorry. Hold on to your seats, everybody. Then you're all gonna bounce about. Hey, look at that. Here they are. I hope we might actually be able to get in here. Just bear with me one moment. I just want to concentrate on not taking myself or VM out as we attempt to do this. It's a monkey, black monkey orange. Very sharp. Let's just have a look at what our view is going to be like from here. I think it might be worth hanging about for. I think we did a good thing coming this way round. Here we go. Here's our two escaped lions lying out in the open. Perfect. Phew. And clack! You wanted to know if there were a single male in charge of a pride or a territory, which does happen, of course. It's unusual, but it does happen. And he sired a male offspring, one male cub. Would he ever let him join his coalition? And the answer is no, probably not. You might find that there's one or two exceptions to that rule, but it will be very, very rare. And the reason for that is because the reason male lions don't form coalitions with their sons is because it would mean that the sons would end up mating with their mothers or their sisters or their cousins, because bear in mind, even if he doesn't mate with his own mother, every single female in a pride is related to the others. So this female will be related to all of the other Nkuhuma females, which means in turn that the male offspring is as well. Unless they were to then move off and find a different territory completely and basically disperse together, which is unusual. The answer is 99% of the time no, he wouldn't. But you might find, because the animals don't read the rule books, that yes, there might be one or two odd exceptions to that. And something strange has occurred. You just never know. Either way, the fact that the Nkuhumas have had 3 boys this time, at least, provided all of them survive, has definitely made their futures, if not more secure, hopefully slightly easier. Their last male offspring, of course, Junior, has been hanging around the Manuletti and Buffelshoek, has managed to find himself a buddy, not related to him, or at least not closely related to him, but a young male whose origins have been questioned. Many different options have been put forward as to who the young male with Junior, the Nkuhuma Junior. Just heard the strangest sounds coming from the cubs on the other side of the Tambuti thicket. Amazing, you can't even see Taxon from here. All the other lions. It's like we're all alone once again. That's how dense the vegetation is. We were lucky to find a way around, actually. Is that a lion? Or is that grass? All in all, a very peaceful scene that will of course change completely as night starts to fall. Now you might find, in fact you'll probably find, that the Nkuhumas are going to leave their cubs here tonight before they go hunting. It is one of the spots where they've left them before. And the females seem to have regular places that they visit, that they've chosen as suitable hiding places for the little cubs. Because right now at this age, they are most definitely more of a hindrance than they would be a help in a buffalo hunt or any kind of hunt. And in fact, they'd probably be even more in danger if they were to head out with their parents on a hunt. I've seen lion cubs unintentionally sabotage many hunts initiated by the females, and you can see exasperation in every line of the females' bodies as they realize that the game is up. The cubs have either given them away or they've blocked the lioness's path, so they've lost the chase. You can see them sort of move off with irritation and set off once again to find the next prey. What's up, girl? What did you hear? A pigget going off to... flopped down. I was about to say going off to search for cousins and siblings. Now Monique, in London, as we watch our lions and we talk about our their various hunting strategies, a really nice question from you, because as these little cubs get older, as we know, their appetites get more and more voracious, and you were wondering, as their demand for meat becomes greater, will the female or the mothers actually break off and their grooming knows no bounds and try and hunt for their own cubs? And will the youngest cubs have the hardest because they get left behind? And there's not going to be, first of all, there's not going to be much of a difference for the oldest and the youngest set of cubs of this pride. The only big difference is when it comes to fighting over kills, the oldest cubs have a little bit of an advantage because they're bigger and stronger. No, the females generally won't break off and search for prey just to feed themselves and their offspring. Their approach, that's just in general not how the lion psyche works. There's nothing selfish about a lioness or her approach to raising her cubs. Yes, certainly she'll protect her cubs if the attentions of the other cubs get a little bit too much, although that's really only in the beginning. From now, they basically let their cubs get on with things, and if they're squealing, they generally are just ignored. Cute. Just going to chew on your leg while I wait for dinner. So no, the lionesses generally, they might, look, lionesses always at some point or another split off at some point and kill something on their own. It does just happen every now and again. Or perhaps they go off in twos, sometimes they lose each other when they're hunting. It does occasionally happen, but it's not an intentional thing to try and feed their cubs over the rest of the pride. I will say, though, that the Nkuhumas are going to have their work cut out for them. There's a lot of hungry mouths to feed, but the bonus, of course, will come when the cubs are grown up and their numbers are supplemented and they've got that many more lions to help them bring down big prey. I spoke about this the other afternoon, about the fact that the cubs are about to hit that sort of 6-month-old growth spurt that lion cubs go through, where they're positively unrecognizable, and they become incredibly skinny looking. So prepare yourselves, they start to look lanky, and it's partly just because their body can't keep up with their growth. They grow so fast, it's like a teenager that grows upwards but doesn't quite yet grow outwards. So don't get a fright in the next few months if the Nkuhumas are a little skinny. It's just a normal lion cub growth spurt. Okie dokie. I'm sure you're all excited to find out what Brent is up to while we've been with the Nkuhumas. Let's go and find out.
We're just seeing how we've gone past the Karula's kill site again. She's not there yet, which means the cubs are probably quite far away. But there are some donkeys wearing pajamas about, and a nice waterbuck as well. Look, zebras are in the thickets there a little bit, and there's the waterbuck. Big set of horns in it. I think where's it going to be? This is going to go that way. See that a lot of the herbivores have picked up condition quite quickly after this little bit of flash. Now we do need a little bit more rain within the next month for it to hold. Otherwise, I'm afraid we'll go back to being very, very dry again. Now, of course, it's been quite an exciting evening so far. And Jamie's with those lions, of course, and Queen Karula, the dominant female leopard of Juma, has made a kill. Now she's left to go fetch the cubs. So we're just looping through and through this area, waiting to stumble upon her. And while she moves back towards where the kill is. So we know she's definitely going to be back. But the cubs could have been quite far away. And of course, this is a live safari. So if you want to ask us any questions, we encourage you to do so. And you can use 2 different formats. You can use Twitter, and you can do Safari Live, or you can use the email address questions@wildearth.tv. I'm just trying to see if we can get a view of those zebra. But apart from that, we've seen actually quite a lot. We've seen waterbuck, zebra, impala, lion, scops owl, bronze-winged coursers. Is that okay for you, Brian? Okay, here we go. Here are the zebras. Now, zebras are bulk grazers, unlike the other animals we've seen. So they're not as fussy when they're feeding, and they don't have the 4 stomachs of a ruminant. So they are what you call a hind gut fermenter, which makes them always look fat, even when they're not full. And they're probably the most gaseous animal in the bush. And often when they run away flatulently. Yes, you. Now, Daniel's wondering about zebra's stripes or other animals with stripes. Are they there to break up their shapes? Now, one would think black and white would definitely not be good as a camouflage, but watch as Brian zooms out. And we do have an incredible zoom on this camera, and you can see they become more and more invisible. Now, of course, that is the point, and you're spot on, Daniel in Scotland. The stripes are there to break out the outline, and one must remember that most animals see in various shades of grey, and very few see in colour. Now, some of the exceptions to the rule that see in colour is giraffe. Strangely enough, one of the few animals outside of the primates that see in colour. We're going to let the zebra continue to munch, and we're going to keep on our search for the queen of Juma, the dominant female leopard, the exquisitely beautiful Karula. Now, I asked you a question a little bit earlier about the road. We're going to make our way back towards that road now, and I'm trying to remember, I think Judy H. and Kerry got the name of that road, or what it means correctly. So the name of the road is Shbaum. I'm putting a little bit more emphasis than you want normally on Shbaum, and you guys are spot on. It is a gun, and obviously that is because of the noise it makes. Shbaum! And the reason it's called Shbaum is because that is where, when anyone needs to practice their shooting, there is a quarry there where you can safely shbow, bow, more than one shbow, that you can shoot into a nice wall and be safe and make sure the bullets don't fly around everywhere. Okay, so I'm just doing some road maintenance. Naughty elephants. Now, the main reason is because one of the things that irritates me the most is when we get a branch stuck under the vehicle and you see this. It really gets to my sensibilities. Little ticks and clicks in a vehicle, something I really abhor. There we go. Now watch, I'm going to drive around the next corner and I'm going to pick up a branch. I'm so happy it's sunny. Hopefully we find some sunbirds to show you in the sunshine. And of course that wonderful coloration on a lot of those sunbirds is going to be spectacular in this light. So we know Karula has gone that way to fetch the cubs, and she's got to come back this way. That's what we're doing. We're just slowly looping up and down through this area. I'm very confident we should pick her up at some point. But while we do that, there's so many other amazing things to look at out here in the African bush. There's that paddle that is in the treehouse waterhole. Now, of course, I've always got my eye open for flowers. I do enjoy my wild flowers. So far they haven't quite sprung. I think we still need a couple of days before they explode off the ground. Oh, hello guys. Oh. Some crested francolins. Here we go, hello little one. Our most common francolin species, and also probably the most noisy at dusk and dawn. exquisite coloration on them. Now, of course, they are one of our ground-dwelling birds. So they spend the majority, there he goes, of their time on the ground. But they will roost up in a tree, not generally very high at night. They really like sort of thick weeping wattles and things like that to snooze in. But when they're on the ground, they've got very developed feet. So they're able to scratch and dig and look for all sorts of little creatures. And of course, one of their favorite foods is grass seeds, but we're a bit early in the season for that just yet. And of course, we're hoping to find that leopard taking a shortcut through this area, heading towards where her kill is. Excuse me, I need to talk to Aubrey for a second, and I'll explain about these things shortly. Standing by, Orbs. On Treehouse down, heading west towards Shabam. Copy, thanks very much, Orbs. Whee! So it sounds like Karula hasn't even got to fetch the cubs yet. She's still heading south. So she's going to be heading to fetch the cubs. So we're going to try and get a quick view of this leopard before she goes to fetch her cubs, and then we'll check again later. So we were searching in the right spot. Aubrey was just ahead of us, helping us look. And as I said, the game drive radio, we talked to all the other guys out here, so we have the best chance of showing you the best animals out here. And she's busy having a drink. I'm just going to go around Aubrey quickly, get us into the best spot. Okay, let's get it. Oh, this is going to be gorgeous. I hope you're as excited as I am. Look at that. The queen of Nkuhuma, Karula, the dominant female leopard in these parts. Oh, and she's just finished drinking. There you go. She's calling for the cubs. So they could be quite close to here. This. Yeah, she's coming right up to us. She's going to cross within about 5 feet of us. You can hear her calling for the cubs. Okay, so hopefully the cubs are close by. Shanae. There she is, the queen of Nkuhuma. Shanae. So if she's calling like this, the cubs could be quite close to here. Isn't this exciting? So even though she's crossing our boundary now, I think the cubs are quite close, just judging from her calling. So hopefully she'll stay right here and they'll come join her. How's that, Brian? Now you can see her ears are picked up. She's listening very intently for their response. And what we hope to see is those little Shanae, did you, where you saw us, we tried to get hold of you. There's Karula on Gariman. She's calling the cubs, they're answering, so they're about to come join her, but she's got a kill on our side. Hey, firm, there's only 2 of us here. I just heard a cub answer. Now, hopefully, we're looking carefully. Those cubs should pop out at any time. I'm pretty sure I heard an answer from the direction she's looking. Here come the cubs, here come the cubs. There's one cub. One pimpa. So I heard them answering. Here comes one, now where's the other? Oh, look at that, isn't that just too special? Let me just go back a bit. Now, the other cub should be on its way shortly. Sorry, Brian. I'm just going to try to get us into a slot. I think we're okay here. There's going to be a few 2 cars coming. Here we go. Here we go. Who's that? That looks like Hosana, the little male. Now the little female should be quite close by, and she's going to lead them from here back to her kill. Sorry, I just need to let Sips. They've got a bumper north. She's still calling for the other one. Looks like young Hosana is heading to possibly have a drink. I'm keeping an eye out for Xongile, the female. Look at him. He seems to have developed a bit of an attitude since the last time I saw him. I do love little or young male leopards are particularly entertaining. I think he might be going for a drink. And she's still calling.
Brent is the only one but people.
The other one's still that side.
Okay.
I can hear, I heard 2 of them calling just now this side.
Oh, alright.
Yeah. But she's got a bamba Philemon's dip.
She hasn't eaten the mana.
No, it's just a munti, small one.
Oh, okay. That's what people buy that.
Okay, well she's calling for Xongile. Let's go see if that little male is having a drink at the pan. And I'm pretty sure that shortly the other two are going to come join. Where did he scuttle? He scuttled right down here. Isn't this great? I haven't seen Karula, it feels like, in an age. Since the Mawati, where we found her on a duiker in the Mawati riverbed. Can you see him, right? Where's that little troublemaker gone? Is he at the pan? Yes, he is. So just as we were hoping, he's popped in to quench his thirst. I know it's going to be a bit of an awkward angle, Brian. How's that? Good. So the best spot to get, we've got to sit at a bit of an angle, but it is worth it. Look at that. Look at that reflection. So they're two cubs, a male and a female. They were born on the 2nd of February. Just under 8 months old. Probably one Mampimpan is here drinking. The others are still inside Hoffman's or Little Gary. Now, I hope you guys are getting some fantastic screenshots. I haven't got any photos of these guys in quite a while. So if you hear a bit of a clickety-click, it's just me. No, don't go. Oh, of course, Murphy's Law. Heading back to his mother. Naughty little chap. So she just gave quite a deep call there that I heard. Now, Romy's asking, do all female leopards' calls and growls mean the same thing, or does each mother have its own set of calls for their cubs? Well, like all our voices are different. We personally can't really hear the difference in leopard calls or the difference. So for us, a little contact call or a chuff will sound the same, but obviously to that leopard, it'll sound completely different. So she's still waiting for the female to join them. Let's just get there. Looks like she's heading a bit further south. Oh no, she's lying down there. There she is. Oh, look at that. Isn't that just too special? Now, I think, judging from Karula's behavior now, she's heard the female, but the female's being a bit difficult. She doesn't want to come out, but she'll start calling again. Oh, look, it's just too special. She's such a fantastic mother. Isn't this just too special, being able to spend time? And you should go back a little bit, Brian. Are you happy there?
I'm okay here for now.
Okay. calling for the female again. There she comes. Here comes the female. Brian spotted the next. There comes the next cub. Look at her charging in. Hi, Ma. Here we go. Look at that. She is such a fantastic mother. And here comes brother to cause trouble as well. Look at the cheeky little guy scent marking. Thinks he's much bigger than he is already. So from here she's going to take them back to where we've been checking all afternoon, to the duiker kill Herbie saw happen. Look at them playing. Isn't this just too fantastic? Hi, Jessie, who's from Miss Jacob's class, who joined us on a school drive. Now Jessie's watching without the school, and Jessie would like to know, how do we know it's Karula? Well, she's got a very specific spot pattern, Jessie, and what that is, it's a section of spots just above the top of her nose, and that lets us know which leopard it is. And also the area we find her in. So leopards are territorial. Okay, so she's about to cross to our side. I'm just going to move. I think she's going to go through to the pan. And I'm going to wait for her there. Go. She's crossing to our side, Simon. Let's just zoom around. Okay, isn't this absolutely spectacular? Karula and cubs. I'm so excited. I haven't seen them in so long. Now I'm hoping little Xongile decides she also needs a drink, so we're going to position ourselves in the right spot. So Brian, let's get ourselves right in there in case they come to drink. Okay, so we're just going to wait here. Look at that, that's little Xongile. Isn't she pretty? So I'm hoping she comes down for a little drink at the pan. Oh, no, she's going back. So Karula's just above her. Look at her, she's stalking. I think she's either stalking her mom. I know she's stalking. Look at her go. Look at her go. There's mom. Oh, there comes trouble. Oh, I've missed spending time with leopard cubs. It's been a while. Oh, look at that spectacular backlight. And little Xongile is coming up to us again. She might come for a drink. Oh, look. Oh, sorry, Brian. I know. But they just climbed up the most ridiculous tree. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? Karula she's playing. She ran straight up the tiniest little tree with young Hosana following her. And now we've got Xongile coming down for a drink. Here comes her brother as well. Look at this. Isn't this too special? So you can see there's already quite a big size difference between the two. The young male Hosana at the back, and then his little sister. So you can already see that though they're exactly the same age, one can already see the size difference between them. So that click click is me taking some pictures. I haven't... Oh, see, she doesn't want to get ambushed by her brother when she's having a drink at the water. Oh, he stood in the mud. Oh, silly boy. Oh, look at this. Xongile is literally underneath us. I have to sit up. She's so close to us. There we go. Time to follow mom. And now little Xongile Hosana is right next to us again. You can see how close he is to the car. We actually can't even see him. He gets so close. Now they are full of joy. It's a lovely, cool... There goes Karula sprinting off again. She's also in a playful mood. Off they go! Poof! Okay, let's move. Let's get into a better position. Orbs. And Aubrey found them for us. I just wanted to say thanks to Orbs. We were fortunately literally 50 meters away. She's jumping up trees like she's a cub today. While playing with her her cubs. She just leapt into that little tree again. Oh, isn't this just magic? I'm so happy. It was definitely worth the wait. Now, it's a question we actually get asked quite often, whether the cubs have distinctive markings similar to their mother. Even if they do, it's pure chance. There's no evidence or science that shows that they inherit markings and body shapes, coloration. Oh, look at that! Yes, definitely, but actual similar shapes, no. Wow, wasn't that amazing? Yeah, they're coming in. Lots of games at the moment. Coming back for Mom now. Let's see if Mom jumps up a tree again when she's chased. Look at that, she's running right up to us. Big games going on here with the Queen and the Prince and Princess of Juma. I mean, they're so close, we can't even see off the front of the vehicle. Whoop, disappearing leopard. I'm getting the eye from young Hosana there. Well, he's actually looking quite well fed compared to his sister. Greedy guts. Now, Deborah's wondering, is this Karula teaching them? I'd say no, Deborah, it's just Karula playing with them. Most of those climbing skills and jumping skills, etc., are all instinctive. They're born with those skills. I'm just going to let Aubrey go in front for a bit, because we've been hogging the best spot, so Aubrey did find it. So it's very busy out there today. So Jamie's with the Nkuhumas, Taxton's found Shiluva and there's Mvula on a kill in Buffalo's Hook. So we're being quite spoilt. So there's actually 3 different leopard sightings going at the moment. Karula might take a shortcut through this area, which is quite thick. And we will try to stay with her while she does that. Okay, we're gonna go do some off-roading to keep up with Karula and her cubs. While we do that, let's go see what Jamie's up to.
What perfect timing! After an extraordinary time spent with Karula and her cubs, we have just stumbled upon a feeding herd of elephants right up close to Sydney's dam. Well, I hate to do this, but guess which leopard VM and myself just saw? We just saw Shiluva number 2 the youngest of the shaluas, and a leopard that I have not seen before. Unfortunately, the reason why you're looking at Ellies and not the leopard, not that they're not wonderful, is unfortunately she's gone into Buffelshoek Hook. So she will hopefully turn south. Taxon says he's going to let us know. For now, we're just going to hang out with these amazing elephants, including the little baby at the back who, dare I think, is Benjamin Button. I hear you saw him this morning, and I saw the amazing clip of little Benjamin attempting to navigate the thorns that he managed to walk into. I'm really hoping that it might be our special little elephant with the very wrinkly forehead. Oh, there's the drongo. Those of you who are sharp-eyed might have spotted a little blackbird flutter up, catching the insects that the elephants are displacing. Hello, beautiful girls. Absolutely loving the fact that the knobthorns have brand new bright green leaves. What a pleasure that must be. Oh, what you doing, little one? You've got to catch up with the rest of the herd. You're being left behind. I'm hoping they might actually decide to go to Sydney's dam for a drink. Here you go, catch up, so we can go and see which baby that is. What a beautiful afternoon it is. After a couple of really cloudy days, it's nice to see the sun once again. Perfect. Okay. Let's reposition and go and see if perhaps that is indeed Benjamin and his mother Olympia. I know that since Gracie got to name Benjamin's mom, and I know she only watches on our sunset safaris, I'm hoping it might be them. Hello, Ellies. Do you mind if I come through? Hello, guys. That's definitely not Benjamin. That much I can tell you, because it's a little girl. Whoa, okay, big girl. Oh, big boy, sorry. No wonder you're so agitated with me. Sorry, mister. I'm not saying you look like a lady, although you do a little bit, I have to say. I thought you were a female. All clustering together around the female. Little calves all together. It seems like Buffelshoek's the place to be this afternoon. Let's try again. Very interesting question, which is, would an Asian elephant survive in this kind of environment? I'm tempted to say probably. So let's go into a couple of differences quickly in terms of African and Asian elephants. One of the big differences is the trunk and the fact that Asian elephants only have one finger-like projection on the top, whereas with African elephants, they have two finger-like protrusions at the end of the trunk, one on the top and one on the bottom. Shape of the back is slightly different. The African elephant slightly more flat-backed. And of course, the biggest giveaway is the size of the ears, with the African elephants much larger than the Asian elephants. Now, I've said yes, and I'm thinking about it, and can I change my opinion on that? And the reason I say that is not to do with any of the physical adaptations that we can see, but I do wonder whether or not our African elephants' digestive system has a very different approach to that of an Asian elephant, because the food is just totally different. We've got lots and lots of thorn trees. It's a completely different ecosystem, different trees, different grasses. And it leads me to wonder whether or not an Asian elephant might struggle in terms of digesting. Might survive for a while, I'm not sure. Oh, it's a really, really good question, isn't it? I'm not 100% sure. I think I know of Asian elephants that have been in South Africa before and that have, but never set loose into the wild. I've only ever heard of it in captivity. I'm tempted to say they wouldn't survive for very long, just purely in terms of the nutrition available out here and how different it is for the elephants. But that's a lovely question. Thank you for sending that through. We often talk about the differences between Asian and African elephants. It's nice to get into what those differences actually mean. Because of course the other aspect is the fact that it gets very, very hot in India. Our African elephants, with their enormous ears and their enormous cooling systems, are perhaps slightly better adapted for high temperatures. Now, this big female is not taking any nonsense. She's pushed away a younger elephant away from her calf, who's following along behind Mom. It's one of my favorite things to watch when... Yes, very big and scary little girl. Chasing really tiny birds that are on the ground. Okay, I was about to say but that is also one of my favorite things to witness. Baby elephants just being silly and playful at the same time. But what I was going to say is whenever a baby elephant's mom decides to discipline another member of the herd, her baby, if it's a little elephant, always seems to get such a kick out of it. They sort of go running after mom with their heads held up as if to enforce her point and say, yes, you don't mess with my mom. We're the big boss around here. Oh, wattled starlings, that's what she was chasing. At the bottom of your screen there, you might have noticed a couple of them wandering about. That's what the little baby elephant was chasing. It's a bird I've only just started recently seeing again, not because they're a migratory species, but I think they've just moved to where food supplies are slightly better. There you go. That's a nice addition to our bird list. Aren't we having a fantastic birding day? From scops owls to bronze-winged coursers and now wattled starlings. Braving the enormous elephant feet and trunks around them. Oh. The camera's perspective there made it look like that elephant just stepped on that bird. It didn't, obviously, because it's fine. It's all fine and well. Oh, somebody's crossing and resting its ankles. Yes, there's a considerable size difference between our wattled starlings and our elephants. Luckily, the amazing nature of our cameras means that we can capture both scenes, even an elephant resting on one hip. That was amazing. That really did look like the elephant had just stepped right where the bird was. We're not too far away from Sydney's dam, and could be thinking about going there for a drink. Oh, still trying to get at the sheltered plant material under the dead trees, which of course they've just that little bit more sheltered in terms of growth and water loss. So pushing away dead or fallen trees is a really good place to look if you're a hungry elephant. Although, as I said, definitely looking much healthier already, gaining back the weight that they've lost over our dry season, and especially during this drought. Not that the drought is over, but we've certainly had some relief. Little one, you're going to chase some more starlings. Or are you done now? Is it lunchtime? Gathering up bit by bit, leaf by leaf. Come on, Ellies. Don't disappear into Buffelshoek. Stay with us. Or perhaps, actually, we might just be catching the tail end of a big herd. We have seen some enormous herds, probably actually several herds all together over the last few days, which has been an absolute pleasure. But perhaps this is just the tail end, the stragglers. There might even be some at Sydney's Dam already, as the afternoon starts to get cooler. And I think because our Ellies have disappeared into Buffelshoek. Sorry. A tree just rolled over. A tree just rolled over, but there's no elephant there. Or is there an elephant there? Let's just go investigate. I'm just curious. I think it must have been moved by an elephant and then fell back into its original position. No, there's definitely no elephant here. I promise you that tree just rolled of its own accord. Okay, so I'm not completely loopy. Either both of us are crazy, or that really did happen. I'm going with the latter. Promise you that tree just rolled over on its own. It must have been resting at an odd angle. That's the only conclusion I can come to. I don't know why though, because it's not freshly pushed over. Maybe it's what we were talking about the fact that it's a good idea for the elephants to look underneath fallen trees. Thanks, Ellies. Come have a drink now at Sydney's. Let's go see what's happening there. Since it's been about nearly 2 weeks since we had our first big rain, initially what it meant is that our sightings, animals just vanished into the bushes. Have to go and drink at dams or anywhere water holes. But now most of the puddles have dried up or very, very muddy. And so
So we're still following Queen Karula and the little gems, but they are taking us through quite a thick area. So I do apologize if you hear any scraping over the microphone. It's unfortunately, so we don't lose them, we do have to do a bit of off-roading. Whoppa! Whoppa! Fortunately, it is a nice little open area that I'm driving on now, which is parallel to them. Make sure we don't lose sight. They're probably about 40 meters from us, the last visual I had, moving through this particularly thick area. Did you see them, Brian? I've lost. Oh, there we are. I've got, looks like Karula through there. Okay, so I'm going to keep on parallel. They should come out towards a road shortly. Some maneuvering. You're holding on, Brian. There we go. One more little hop. Ooh. That's not looking good, is it? That's looking a little bit deep. Oh, go on. There we go. Should get. See that? Look at that. Now that could have been me. Oh, Sisyphus thorns. Nasty buggers. Hold on. Directly below that golden sun. There we go. Okay, let's just move forward again. We're going to cross this little ravine that we just did. There's Aubrey. I'm just signaling to him to come. He went round while we stayed with them through the block. So moving again through this little this thick area here. They are going to pop out into the open, probably in a couple of minutes or so. Let's just keep a lookout on that open patch there. I'm just going to wait here. So we can't see them at the moment, but we know they were heading directly for that little bit of open ground. I'm just perusing for movement. But remember, this is a live African safari. We are following a female leopard and her 2 cubs that are about 7 months old. And they are absolutely delectable. Now, sheep, there they come. They should be about to pop into the open in 3, 2, 1. There goes Mom. Now where's Trouble 1 and Trouble 2? I think Trouble. Now the problem with kids is, well, you've got a determined plan to get somewhere. They don't quite have the same plan as they scuttle about. Oh, there we go. Here comes Trouble number 1, at least. Who's that? Xongile. Now where's Hosana? Oh, here he comes. Okay, there we go. We're going to keep moving now. Let's go find a way out of these thickets quickly. So we're going to pop out at the junction of Shabam Road and the other road, which is Savage's Track. But while we catch up with them, let's go back across to see how Jamie is doing.
Hello! I'm sorry about that. I did say I was going to be taking JIGGA to the deepest, darkest parts of Djuma. Not that I would describe Sydney's Dam as the deepest, darkest part of Djuma, especially because it's not on Djuma. But as you can tell, JIGGA still has a few niggles that need ironing out. Right, well, you've jumped on board at the perfect possible time while Brent attempts to catch up with those cubs. And that's because, to cast our sort of memory back to when we were doing the night drives with the infrared and where James was in the Mara, we kept driving along Gallagher shortcut and wrinkling our noses and saying there's something terribly smelly, something's died. We never found out what it was. But we did suspect, we did mention that it was probably the injured buffalo that Taylor had seen a couple of days before on quarantine. Now, I never saw him, but Taylor tells me that he was grievously injured. And it is him. And I know it was him because I just found him, well, actually Viam and myself just found him while we were trundling up this road earlier to get to Buffelshoek boundary. And he is somewhere. Actually, we've got to go a little bit further before we get there. And it's interesting to see that whole situation because we could smell it for a long time, for days at a time. And as you know, our sense of smell as a human being is not really equivalent to that of an animal. Yet somehow either nothing found him or nothing could be bothered to eat him, which is kind of weird. Because during that time, we actually had many, many visits from our hyenas coming to say hello and coming to see. Why they didn't eat this buffalo, I do not know. Initially, they have now. I'll show you as soon as he's just around the corner. I'll show you how much of the carcass is gone. The reason the vultures didn't find it is because that buffalo must have died in some really, really dense vegetation. He must have just been hidden away. He probably went there because he was feeling so weak to try and find a place that was safe. away from other predators, because of course being that weak would have made him unbelievably vulnerable. I guess it was just such a time of plenty because it was just after the rain, so a couple of the animals were still really weak, really ill. There he is. But the hyenas didn't bother initially. They have now, and they've dragged him out into the open, which is why we found him now. Just go slightly around the corner to get a better view. So his face has been eaten. Oh, sorry, Viam. Sorry. Let me go forward just a little bit. That was silly. Let's go sidle forward a bit. Oh, Jigga does like to jump ahead. There we go. So we have the answer to our mystery of the smelly buffalo, or the smelly smell, around Gallagher Shortcut. As you can see, not even the skin has really been eaten. The face has. And most of the organs and the muscle. Otherwise, the skin's still here. You can tell it's a fresh carcass, just by the amount of meat that's still left on it. The hyenas haven't even really bothered to chew much on the nose or the bones. And I reckon if we went and had a closer look, I reckon we'd find that most of the bones were still intact. So for those of you that did perhaps see the injured buffalo, and tell me what you think, whether or not those horns would match up roughly to the buffalo that you saw with Taylor. So let's have a closer look at the horns. There we go. Does that look similar to the buffalo that was with Taylor? I know it's difficult to tell because we're not looking at him front on. But by the sort of the dents and the size of that buffalo, does that look about right? Do you think our conclusion is correct about it being the injured buffalo? Because that would... There we go. Ah! Hello, Taylor, who's in final control. Taylor says it's exactly the same buffalo. So there we go. We finally have the answer to the mystery of the stinky smell, and tying together in a way is the mystery as to what happened to that poor injured buffalo on quarantine clearings. He was the reason why we were so nervous about walking around in really dense vegetation for a couple of days, just because we had no idea where he had gone, and an injured animal is an incredibly dangerous one. Shame, sorry boy, you escaped the lions, but the conclusion was the same. Now, James Richards, you're wondering, on the subject of one of your favourite animals, whether or not a jackal would be able to feed on a buffalo carcass that hadn't been opened by a larger animal. Probably, over a certain period of time, what you'd find most likely is that the jackal would go for the softer parts, perhaps the nose, definitely around the eyes. One of the first things to disappear in a carcass is the eyes, which sounds revolting, but they're soft and easy to get to, especially for things like battaliers. So a jackal might come and nibble on the more sensitive parts, and yes, eventually a jackal would chew and chew and chew until it could get through into the more nutritious parts of the buffalo. So yes, in conclusion, yes. Right, Brent has managed to get through the thick vegetation. Let's go across and see what the royal family is up to.
Hi. We've caught up with them again. They've come out onto Philemon's cut line, and they're heading straight towards where that duiker kill is. Unfortunately, it's not a very big kill, so that'll probably be finished by tomorrow morning, but I'm just ecstatic to have the time with these wonderful leopards that we do. Coming up on the right, Brian, is young Hosana. Hello, mister. You see how close he comes. Isn't this wonderful? Wait up, Mom. I'm coming. Oh no, chasing something. Sibling, where? Oops, wrong gear. Let's go forward rather than backward. There they are. Look at that fantastic African sunset. Here they come again. Just so absolutely stunning. They're about, oh, they're not far from the kill now. I think we're going to make our way towards the kill. Now Kerry is wondering, when Karula's not with them, will the cubs wander from each other or stick together? They'll wander a bit, but they will generally stick together, and they generally are a little bit less active and less playful than when mom's around, although they're getting to the age now where they will play even if mom is not here. So the kill is just through there. There. Now it is getting quite late, so I'm hoping Karula hoists it immediately. If not, I'm probably going to leave her be. We don't want her to lose that duiker to hyenas. Sorry, Brian doing a sterling job trying to stay on her while I'm bouncing off-road. I'm trying to choose the smoothest path, but unfortunately sometimes that doesn't work. Okay, she's about to go into a thicket. So what we're going to do is I'm going to jump ahead of that thicket, because I do have the luxury of knowing where her kill is. It's going to take us a few minutes to get there, so while we speed off, let's go see what Jamie's up to and what her plans are for the rest of the evening.
While the royal family makes their way towards the royal feast, we are on our way to check up on another family of big cats. Back towards the Nkuhumas we go to see what they're up to, because it's starting to get a lot cooler. And as I said earlier, they do have very empty bellies, so there's a chance tonight. No, there isn't a chance. They are definitely going to go off tonight in search of food. It's just a matter of luck whether or not we will be able to be there when they do. Now, the one thing about JIGGA's new configuration, or the fact that JIGGA's resurrection, to be more specific, is that JIGGA does not have infrared. So one of the other reasons why I'm rushing back to the Nkuhumas is if they don't leave the cubs in the next sort of, I would say, 20 minutes or so, we'll probably have to leave them because we won't have enough light and we can't spotlight the little cubs. So that's why we're heading back, well, one of the reasons why we're heading back there now. Thorns everywhere. No sign of our bronze-winged coursers. I did check on my way in. They seem to have moved off, decided that perhaps they were going to choose a more peaceful spot to spend the last few hours of their daytime nap. Okay. What do we think? We're going to go better to be going left or right when we come to the crossroads here. Oh, I have my answer in the form of one lioness with her legs up in the air, and you will see her in a moment. Oh, goody! How very convenient. Okay. Hello, girls. Thank you very... Oh, and she's up again. Kathy, you've asked a question that we often wonder about. And the question is whether or not when the male cubs grow up and leave the pride, because of course the females are most likely to stay with them, will they recognize their mothers and their family many years down the line, once they've left home, once they've dispersed, if they were to encounter them again? It's a really nice question. We often think about it. We wonder it about the leopards as well. We've got her there. There's another one lying there. Perhaps that's where she was on her way to. Hello, lionesses. That one at least is still fast asleep. Kathy, we often talk about that with all of the big cats. And yes, the answer seems to be yes, they do recognize each other. Mostly because the males don't seem to try and take over territories with their parents, but that's very situationally dependent. Yes, I think they do. I think that the big cats know each other. The question is whether or not, to take it one step further, whether or not, let's say, Xongile would know that she's related to Quarantine, for example, that he's actually her older brother. She's never met him, as far as we know. Not impossible that she has. Now, the cubs must be all with that other lioness, because we've only got the 4 of them here. And we are going to stay right here, because this, I think, is the hunting party. This will be the group of ladies that decides to go off in search of this evening's meal. There's a bit of paw licking going on, which is always a good sign. It's almost always a prelude to a cat getting up. A couple of yawns, licking of the paws. That's when the action starts to happen. That being said, entirely dependent on when the lionesses decide to move. River, who is 9 years old. Hi River, it's lovely to have you on our safari vehicle once again. You've asked a really lovely question, and thank you River for sending it through. River, you want to know if the cubs ever get scared when they are left alone. And it must be scary, River. I know that they know instinctively that they've got to stay put, but it must be a really terrifying experience. Especially if maybe something comes through, maybe a hyena walks past them, or perhaps they even see some elephants, and their instincts will tell them what to do, but it must be really very, very scary. Especially when they've got used to the security of the lionesses. You have to admit, a lion cub has got the biggest, scariest mom, except for maybe a baby elephant. But a lion cub definitely will feel very, very secure with mom and aunts around. Yes, River, I think lion cubs do get scared. I think it must be very scary being alone. Maybe they get even... Let's go over to Brent, see what's happening there.
Look at this. We've got ahead. We arrived at the perfect time as they've arrived at the duiker carcass. It's quite a small carcass, as I said. I don't think it's going to be here for too long. But if Karula doesn't hoist it shortly, we're going to have to leave anyway. So it's been quite a long walk, and you can see how close Hosana and Karula are lying to us. We can't really move into any other position at the moment. Xongile is more playing with the carcass than feeding on it. Look at that, going for the, look at that. See, it's instinctive. She doesn't have to be taught to go for the throat. It's a big fluffy toy. Look at that, going for the throat again. Those instincts, those inbred instincts she's born with, taking over. Look. He's just having the best time. Yum, 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 yum. It almost looks like, oh, maybe I should take it up the tree, but I think she's still a bit small. So Jilly in New York is wondering why she didn't hoist the kill before she went to fetch the cubs. Well, Jilly, I'll get to that now. Let's just watch this incredible behavior. So Jilly, she probably didn't want to waste the energy. So I think she was quite confident that because of the time of the day that it happened, there was very little chance of her losing it to hyenas or other predators. So that's probably why she didn't hoist it. I think she will hoist it as it gets darker. But, well, I wish I could tell. We never really know what happens in a leopard's mind. Now all this playing we're seeing now is it's just incredible instinct taking over. Now people don't realize that even we are instinctive beings, and that instinct to go home when it gets dark, it's from when we lived on the savannah and lions and other things were coming out. Oh, it's a baby boy. You can just see his little horns sticking out now. Oh, look who's coming in. Now is he going to go try usurp his sister at the carcass? Just amazing to watch. Now, Shamsung is wondering, are the cubs big enough to hoist a kill on their own? Not yet, would be my answer to you, Shamsung. It's just amazing to sit here and enjoy this. Now the sun is dipping below. Oh, almost looked like a tail caught her. Ooh. That little hiss was for her brother. He looked like he was going to make an attempt to get a bit closer to that duiker. Quarry bush getting in the way. I hope you guys are getting some fantastic screenshots. Now you probably find at this age they've already made their own kill with it, but it's probably a squirrel. Oh, look at that. Or a dwarf mongoose. Maybe a little monitor lizard. Hissing at her brother again. You can see those claws coming in and out. She's having the best time. And as I said, they didn't look that hungry. And you can see that. I mean, she's by no means starving. She'd prefer to play with the carcass than eat it. Leopards are much quieter than lion cubs. I mean, even sitting as close as we are, we're not really hearing anything apart from when she rustles the bush. Having the best time. Let's really hope Karula does hoist this, so it's going to be here in the morning. Now, Erlene's wondering, can Xongile open up this carcass, or will Karula have to? At this age, I think she's capable already of opening it up. As I said, they're not that hungry. And she seems far more interested in playing than feeding. Now, she does have a bit of hair stuck in her mouth. These, as I said, these leopard cubs are just over 7 months old now. She's closing in on 8. And with every month that passes, their chance of survival becomes higher and higher. So once they reach a year old, that sort of that very high mortality rate drops off into less than 10%. 4 months to go, more or less. So it's not a very big male, it's a young male duiker. And it'll be finished quite quickly. So as she keeps looking up the tree, about thinking about hoisting that carcass. But I don't think she's quite strong enough yet. Look at her go. Oh, she is just too gorgeous. She is a beautiful female. Now, we're not going to stay here too much longer. The tree's not in the kill and the light is fading fast. This has been quite the spectacular afternoon. Welcome back, Brian.
Oh, thank you.
Nice way to come back.
Yeah.
Well, the killer bees have both had spectacular welcomes back on their first drives back. Brian with Karula and the cubs, who I haven't seen in an age as well. And of course, we were lucky enough to have a lion kill. Well, I was lucky enough to have a lion kill on my welcome back. Seems like Juma likes us, Brian.
Yeah.
Now, Hosana is literally lying. Xongile, what nonsense are you up to? Not supposed to play with your food. Every time she looks at her brother and gives a little hiss. Now her brother is literally right here. Where is he? There he is. You can see how close he is to me. And there's the side of the car. And he's chosen to come lie that close to us. We haven't forced our way to be that close to him. Oh, big snarlet, brother. He didn't even move. You can see all the flies buzzing around her. Or more aptly around the carcass. So you can see the camera is starting to get a little bit grainy. It is getting quite dark. So with the kill on the ground, I'm not going to stay here any longer. So we'll have one last look at the gorgeous Xongile, and we're going to say goodbye to them for now, but we'll be back tomorrow morning. And let's go back across to Jamie, who's with the Nkuhumas, who hopefully are going to be on the move soon.
You find me in a bit of a sticky predicament, trying to maneuver my way to follow the Nkuhumas. They are off. Can we do this? What do you think, Liam? Can we do it? Oh, let's do it. I think we can do it. I think JIGGA can do anything she sets her mind to now that she's back up and running once again. So the reason we are following... Oh, goodness. Hopefully I don't put JIGGA back into retirement. The reason that we are following the lionesses is they have left the cubs exactly where we said they might leave them, in that drainage line. and all 5 are off together on a hunting mission. And I want to try and stay with them as closely as possible. Obviously, this is where it starts to get a little bit tricky. If they do start to stalk something, and it is dark, we will have to turn the lights of our vehicle off. Oh, goodness. But for now, they're just almost lazily wandering north. I'll show you them now. There we go. Splitting up. Individuals walking not quite in different directions, but basically just fanning out to make sure that they've got all angles covered, stopping every now and again to listen, to smell, searching for their next meal. And I don't think it's a very bad idea to get Brent to come into this area as well, even if he's hovering around a road. There we go, Brent read my mind. Standing by.
Sammy, how many stations with you?
It's just me, Brent. I think if you can start making your way towards, it looks like maybe Aubrey's. Oh, hello.
Copy, will do. I'm just getting out of the block.
Copy that. We're right in the middle at the moment, just north of that drainage. There you go. So Brent read my mind. He's going to come and help me in the situation where potentially I might not be able to keep up with them. Okay. Lights, camera, action. We've got the lights. Let's get the action. Oh! Watch out, BM. My spotlight at the ready. I kind of need both arms though, for now. No, that's not going to work. The Ellies have made a mess of this block. I'm going to have to try and get through here. We can do it, we can do it, we can do it, we can do it. We just have to do it quickly, because otherwise the lines are going to disappear. Aha! One down, one obstacle down. Oh, one more to go. Several more to go, several thousand more to go. There's a couple of what we... Oh. I say the lines are going to disappear. They've just all laid down in front of me. I'll show you now. I kind of do that first thing in the morning as well. I get up, wander around, get dressed, flop back onto the bed for a little while, get back up again. So I understand. Hello, ladies. One lioness. Now that they've separated themselves from the cubs, they might actually spend a little bit of time just listening and waiting. They've got enough distance from the cubs that now they can initiate a hunt without worrying about whether or not the cubs are going to get in the way. There, the other lionesses are hidden behind this fallen tree. You can just see one stretched out in the back of one head. And then if we carry on a little bit, there we go, there's a white belly, sorry. And in the back of another lioness's head. So there's 3 there. And number 5 is over here. Oops, I must have overshot the mark slightly. So there's number 5. And now we can patiently wait to see which way they decide to go. I'm half hoping that they decide to go a little bit to the east of us, which would put... Oh, look at that sunset. Look at that sky with a lion underneath it. How spectacular is that? Definitely worth a screenshot or two.
Jamie, I've got your lines. I'm going to be closer towards the short bridge from the Buffalo side. I'm going to go around there.
F and Brent, they've just gone flat here. We are closer to Gallagher, but they were walking west. They're now flat in the middle of this block here.
Good luck.
Copy, thanks. I'm laughing. Brent's just said to me, good luck. I see the challenge and I'm going to tackle it head on. Or bumper on. All 4 are up. No, all 3 are up. 4 and 5, not so keen on the whole idea. Stopping to stretch and greet each other. And we've got to just wait for the 5th lioness to move. She's in the only way that we can get around. So we'll just have to wait for her to go. There goes, oh, there goes number 4. Intently listening. This is where we concentrate exceptionally hard. We're waiting for the slightest sign of a change in body language of these lions. And as soon as we see them crouch, even just tense a muscle in a way that's become familiar to us as a hunting lioness, we immediately have to turn off our lights and just listen. Okay, here comes the good luck part. Here we go, everybody. Just get a good idea of the line they're walking in. And here we go. Uh-oh. 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 An impenetrable wall of vegetation is staring me in the face. Not quite sure how this is going to work. We're okay for now, but I think at some point relatively soon... Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to have to concentrate really carefully. I've completely lost sight of the lionesses. But for now, I'm going to send you across to Brent. I'll catch up with you when I've found them.
So just every now and then you just see a blinking light in here, and that's exactly where Jamie is. So she's asked us to come around to sit on Aubrey's Road. Now I'm obviously I've got my listening to Jamie, and so she's going to let me know if I need to move from here, see where the lions are. So Brian and my plan is just to patrol, and maybe we might see some buffalo or something that they might be interested in, that they might be looking for. Let's carry on moving a little bit. Jamie seems to be heading slightly further to the north. And the smells at the moment are incredible. The marulas are in flower. There's a lot of, I think that's probably the most predominantly, it's a very sweet smell, almost like citrus, but not quite as strong. But quickly across to Jamie.
And the lionesses have taken mercy upon us and come to the road. Thank you very much, ladies. Very much appreciated. And very soon, judging by Brent's lights, he's going to get around to the other side so that we're actually going to have a spectacular view of them walking along the road. Brent, they're coming along Gallagher shortcut now. Whoops. Whoop. Copy. Sorry, there's only so many hands I have, especially when one is occupied with the radio, the other the steering wheel, and the other the spotlight. That doesn't equal 2. What a spectacular sight this is. Sorry, just take a moment to watch them as they wander along the road. Completely silent, not a sound. Our experience with the infrared has shown me or taught me just how quiet these animals truly are. I'm trying to adjust my spotlight slightly at the same time, it's not working. When we sat with the lions in the dark while we were testing the infrared, the sheer silence of the sighting only until the lioness walking right next to our vehicle we could hear them. Just the soft padding, almost sensing rather than hearing. I'm making sure not to crowd them, which is why we're giving them as much space as we are. I think they just cut the corner. Did they? No, they're there. Let's just see. I think one of the lionesses has spotted something up ahead. All ears and focus. Testing the air. Sniffing, preparing themselves for what lies ahead. Brent, as you come through, just check carefully along the road. And one of the lionesses seems to be looking at something where you are. I can hear a hyena calling.
Copy.
Just listen to this. Two of the females cutting off to the right, the other 3 intently focused. Do we have an ambush in progress? One lioness now going off to the left, so the ranks are peeling away. What have they seen? Ask Brent as he comes, obviously you heard me ask Brent, as he comes along the road to just keep checking carefully for whatever it is they might have spotted. Two lionesses waiting patiently. Wouldn't you love to know? Wouldn't you love to be a lion for a day and know how they've just communicated to each other? Okay, lights are going off. She's stalking. Okay. Brent, they are stalking. 2 of them have gone off to the east, another 2 to the west, and 1 still on the road in front of me.
What would you like to do?
I think once you're maybe within maybe 70 meters of me, just stop and stand by there. Okay, now we wait. Liam giving us an awesome view. We know the picture's very difficult for you to see. You might barely be able to make out the image of the lioness in front of you. There's nothing we can do, unfortunately. It's really, really important that we don't compromise these lions in any way. What we're doing is not spotlighting, so we don't in any way interfere, either by alerting the prey to the lions or by alerting the lions to, or by dazzling the prey so that they are vulnerable. The reason we are not switching to infrared, as I mentioned earlier, is the fact that JIGGA doesn't have it at this point. The setup is not yet complete. That's why we called Brent into the sighting. He does. And as soon as he gets a view of the lionesses, he will be able to show you. And there's... Sorry, Brent, please go again.
There's a kudu in the road in front of us. You've switched to infrared.
Copy, I'm sure that's what they're looking at. I do not have infrared. Okay. Right. Now I think that you would have heard that, but let's go across to Brent and see what his infrared vision is bringing us.
Okay, so we've approached from the opposite side of Jamie. And I'm trying to see just on the edge of our infrared lights. So we're completely in the darkness now. I think it's just, I'm going to move forward slightly, but there, I saw a kudu ahead of us. So I'm just going to move these. I'm going to actually see if I can adjust one of the lights shortly. So I'm just trying to see now. So I can't see, obviously. I'm watching my monitor down here, where the road is, so I don't drive off it. Now there was a kudu somewhere around here. Brian, do you know if these lights are adjustable? Can I move them? It doesn't feel like I can. Oh, is that lightning in the distance? Wow. So in this area here, I got a glimpse of an eye, and from the size of it, I thought it might be a kudu. Now, the lions are just around the corner. You can see the road bend there. And Jamie said 2 of them have gone off to this side of the road and 2 to the other side of the road. So we're just going to sit here quietly in the darkness. Isn't this exciting? So very exciting. Oh, I'm very green. Apologize. Been eating too many vegetables. No, negative, I'm black and white. On my monitor I look green. Maybe that's the thing. Well, I've just lost my colorful personality. Okay, so I'm looking down at the monitor so I can see. I'm just going to try something here quickly. I'm just going to try to park the car slightly to the side so the infrared spotlight is pointing out to where I think the animal might be. There we go. Did you see that? It looks like an eye in the infrared. Or was that Jamie? I think that's Jamie. That's Jamie. So I got very excited there, but that's where, or more or less where the kudu was. You can see Jamie through there. I mean, what we're waiting to hear is either the stampeding of the hooves and then the noise of the takedown, or we could just hear the kudu go bah, bah, and the lions have failed. The Nkuhumas are looking quite hungry, and as I said at the beginning of the safari, Jamie and I both thought it would be a very good idea to try get around the Nkuhumas around sunset, because we knew they're going to be on the hunt When I left them this morning, the end of the sunrise safari, they just had an unsuccessful hunt on zebra. Oh, there we go, something's running. In front of us, something. It's the kudu, They're the kudu. I just heard the footsteps. Now, where are the lions? So they just trotted across the road. I don't think they know the lions are here yet. Ah, now they do. He's running. Alarm calling. Lion in front, lion ran across the road. Sorry, I just saw what looked like a lioness. Just this ghost appear through the road. We're trying to hear if they've made a takedown. You can just hear kudu footprints all over. Everything's gone still. Okay, everything's gone still. Did you hear that, Brian? Just want to check down the road behind us. The lions are heading back towards Jamie. It's just the one line that just shot through there. I think they could have, luckily for them, managed to escape. And the lions should be right in front of Jamie in a second, or in front of us. I'm just going to, there we go. You can see that. We're just going to keep the infrared on for now, but we are using a little bit of ambient light from our car, as you can see. Unsuccessful. So Jamie's coming up the road. Let me just turn my lights off there. See if there are any more lions around. Wow, that was exciting, wasn't it? It's really amazing to have this capability to go into infrared after dark. Here comes Jamie. Can you see one, Jam? Hi, can you see them? Yeah. Oh, there we go. Oh, there she is there. Parallel to us. Okay, so hasn't this been absolutely fantastic? Unfortunately for the incredible Nkuhumas, they weren't so incredible this evening. But, oh, flop. That's what she thought of that kudu hunt. But from myself and Brian, and of course a big welcome back to the Brian. I wonder what an infrared thumb looks like, Brian.
Yeah, let's try.
I'm just going to try. We're going to see what an infrared thumb. I'm quite excited. Hello, thumb.
All right.
That looks quite cool. But from Jamie, myself, and the rest of the Safari Live crew, great to be back. Also, remember, what?
There's a lion right.
Oh, there's a lion right in front of us. Sorry, I didn't even see that. Commander Bond, it was dark. Commander Bond, the Dachshund, also known as James Henry, will be back on drive tomorrow, and I'm sure a lot of you are excited about that. Well, let's follow the line for the last few seconds. As I said, hopefully they'll have success later on this evening, but from the rest of us here, we'll see you bright and early on the Sunrise Safari.